Hello, sunshines. Oh my gosh. So the other day when I did that video of potting up my house plants, this is where most of them landed, as you can see. I was able to fix that other pot by adding the one I broke by gluing the bottom, which worked out perfect. It has the self-watering, but one of the pots didn't come in that day when I was making that video, and it was this pot that this beauty right here is going to enter. And so we're going to go ahead and pot that up. But what we're going to talk about on today's video is seeds. Seeds, because we are preparing to go ahead and start our veggie garden. And so I want to talk to you about seeds and what that looks like for me. But let's get this potted up first. Okay, so now that our girl is looking lovely behind me and all the other plants, this is where all those plants, those house plants went after we left the shed that day. But let's talk about seeds. So you're going to hear a lot about seeds right now during this time of the year. It is time for us to start our veggie gardens, and if we're going to grow flowers. And if you start from seed, you don't have to start from seed. You can be a person that goes, and I've done it. I do it sometimes still, and I will do it if I need to. If something doesn't germinate for me, I'll go to my local garden center, one of the big box stores, and I will get me some seedlings. But for the most part, I start everything from seed. And so one of the things that I do normally is go through my seeds. This is one of those do as I say, not as I've done moments, because normally I'll go through my seeds. This is a container that I keep my seeds in. I previously just kept it in a plastic container, but this is actually a money box. So you can keep your seeds in whatever works for you. This is a money box that I had, a lock box, and so I keep my seeds in here. And typically what I do is I go through my seeds, see what I have and see what I need, and then go purchase. That's the rule I try to play by. But I don't always play by that rule. Like, for instance, ta-da! Like, I did not play by that rule. The reason being is because I knew that there were particular seeds that I didn't have, or that I believe I didn't have. There were some new seeds I wanted to try and wanted to get. We have a local store, and I think you all have told me before that store, you all don't have that store. I think the store is in Massachusetts, maybe Connecticut. I'm in Massachusetts, and some other towns, some other states. I'm not sure. It's not a lot of states, but there is a store called Ocean State Job Lot. And that is a store that does very well for me with getting garden things on top of some other stores too. But this particular store has a lot of seeds in it, and they have the Berkey seeds. And so they had a sale on their seeds, which they often do, and it was 40% off. Seeds can get very expensive. I'm not against catalogs. A lot of people look at catalogs and purchase their seeds from catalogs. That's great. I've heard great things about the purchases from these catalogs. But for me, I typically just go to the store, this particular store, and get tons of seeds and at a great price. These were $2.79 with 40% off. And so they also have some for $1.79. And so it all depends on what you're looking for. And so I did go and get a bunch of seeds because there are certain things I want to grow more of. Seeds I think I didn't have. And I also want to grow more flowers. I grew nasturtiums last year and I loved them. So I got some nasturtiums, some pansies. I did cosmos last year. I didn't do pansies. So I did get a mixture of veggies and flowers. Here we go, cosmo seeds. And so I would tell you, like, if you want to start a garden, or if you're starting seedlings again, I would suggest to go through and see what you have first before just purchasing seeds. I do try to have a budget for my garden season, a weekly budget, if I can be honest, which I'm always honest. So I have a weekly budget that I try to hone on to what I'm going to purchase. Right now, there are certain things that I need. So I've been purchasing some of the things I need. But these seeds right here, I want it and I believe I need. So we have flowers. We have more pansies. I know there were some petunias in here. These are poppies. And so for my garden zone, which I told you all I'm in zone 6B, I don't start sowing seeds, at least veggie seeds, until March. And so after I gather my seeds and what I want to grow that year, I go to the Farmer's Almanac website. And what I do is I put in my zone. You can just put in your zip code and it will give you the planting dates for the season, whether it be spring or fall. And so you can print that out, which I have done. And it will tell you, start seeds indoors. For example, arugula. I'm not to start those seeds if I'm going to start them indoor until March 2nd, between March 2nd and March 17th. Then it will tell me when to transplant the seed, right? To transplant it. If I'm going to transplant that seedling, I'm going to transplant it outside April 7th through the 21st. And so that's typically how I follow. But if it also will tell you if you're going to start seeds outdoors, you would put these arugula seeds and start them outdoors in your garden bed or in ground, however you do. You would start them outside between April 31st and April 7th. With arugula in particular, since we're talking about those, I will be going with the start outdoor seeds. I don't start seeds for arugula inside. They germinate easily. I just throw a bunch of them in a garden bed and just wait for it. And so that's what I do with arugula, but that tells you. And then what I'll do is I go through with highlighters and I will see when I am to start them, and I will not do every month. So say for instance, if there were any seeds, and we can just look through quickly, but I believe there's not, for me to start indoors for January, I would go through here and I would look, and I want to be organized and focused. So I'm not highlighting everything. I will just highlight that month. But since I know that most seeds for me in my zone, I will not be starting until February, I will go in here because there's nothing for me for this month to start. So January is my month of preparation. It's my month of seeing what I'm going to grow. And so I'm going to take this pink highlighter. Let's go with pink. And we're going to go through and we'll see. Let me bring you all closer. So here is the actual form. So I will go in, and what I'm looking at right now is bell peppers. Bell peppers is on my list in February. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the bell peppers so I can see that I need to start bell peppers between, what does that say? February 16th and March 2nd. So that will be one of the first seeds that I will. So anyway, so bell peppers will be the first seed, one of the first seeds that I will sow. So we have bell peppers for February. What else do we have for February? Nothing over here. This is just my zone. You go through and find your zone. So we also have celery. So celery is another plant that we will start in February, another seed to start indoors. I start celery indoors, and we'll talk about it when we start sowing these seeds. And so February 2nd, between February 2nd and the 16th, so actually let me back up. The bell peppers don't get started until February 16th. Between February 16th and March 2nd, the celery actually will be before. So you really got to go through and keep. And so what I do is I keep this and I look at it every single day to say, okay. And then if I change my mind and say, well, I don't want to start celery indoor because celery can be easy too. You can just throw the seeds out. Then I will just put an X and then I'll go and highlight the May date. The May date actually, that's the transplant date. Okay. Would actually put the celery outdoors on April 28th. So if I didn't want to start the celery indoors for February 2nd, I will then go ahead and sow their seeds outdoors. It's not as complicated as it may sound with me right now. Am I complicating things for you? Hopefully I'm not. So I would start it outdoors. So it just depends if you want to start your seeds indoors or if you want to start your seeds outdoors. You're going to follow this to however you want to do it. So that's the only thing for, let's see what else we have for February. Jalapeno peppers. We're going to highlight those. We're going to go through and we see leeks. If you do leeks, we start those in February. What else do we have? Onions. We want to start in February. Oregano, February. Parsley, February. What else do you have? Rosemary, February. Thyme, February. And that's all I have on this list. Now, those are the things that I will start in February according to this list. But if I go to my seed packets, I may start some other things in February as well. But I do ultimately try to follow that Farmer's Almanac spring schedule. But if it's something I think, well, usually just takes a little longer, I might want to start them earlier, that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. But I do typically follow this. I follow this for the past, I don't think I started, when I started gardening, I followed it. But I think for the past like 3 years, I've used this and I've been successful with it. It worked for me. Some things I have started earlier, like peppers and things that take a long time to grow. I have done that and skipped over. But when we go in our little box right here, we see I have tons of seeds, empty packets. I need to clean that out. Remember I told you all about those little cases? These seeds are open, but they were spilling out, so I stuck them in here. And so during the peak of garden season, sometimes I'm just throwing things back inside. I'm just, because I want to remember. But for instance, there's no seeds in this tomato packet. So I'll get rid of that. This oregano packet, there's seeds in there. They're so small. And that's, if you see these oregano seeds, they're so small. And I try to tape them. And so what I'll do is I'll go through these and I'll get rid of, and I'll organize. I'll get rid of what I don't need. I'll see what I have duplicates of. And then what I typically do is after I've sown the seed or inside or outside, the ones that I don't need anymore, I put at the bottom. And the ones that I'm using, I'll put at the top of this tray. Or sometimes the seeds that I'm going to sow, I'll take them out and I'll just put them in a totally different container because those are the seeds that I'm working on. For instance, we talked about bell peppers. So I can take all the bell peppers and make sure the bell peppers are at the top of this tray so I can focus on them. So everything that I'm going to start in February, I'll organize and put at the top of the tray. And then we'll just continue to rotate the seeds. At least that's what I will do. And so let me take a minute and actually go through this. And then we're going to see, this is my pile of purchase. I won't cheat either. This is my pile that I purchased. This is what I already had. Let's see if I got duplicates. Give me a minute. Okay, now you all watch me. These are the seeds that were in the container. These are the seeds that I purchased. I can tell you already that I failed, that I did some repeats. I can tell you already that I failed and did some repeats. But I can also tell you that I got some things that I needed. And so one of my repeats was basil. I want a lot of basil this year. So I purchased 2 packs of basil, and I already had 2 packs. Of course, they're open, and so that's okay. One is sweet basil, and I think I got 2 packages of sweet basil. But I already had some basil. So I got sweet basil. This right here is large leaf basil. And this is called Genovese basil. So at least I didn't get the exact same basil. Look at me making excuses for my purchase. Now, what I didn't have and I needed was spinach. And so I purchased spinach. I did have a few zinnias and some, which I'm so glad I have amaranth seeds, because I love amaranth, this pretty pink flower. So I did purchase zinnia seeds when I was out. I think I only got one of those. And so what else? I did purchase cilantro seeds, and I have cilantro seeds. We'll put those with the cilantro seeds. I didn't have any nasturtiums. I didn't have any thyme. So thyme, from what I understand, I think can be hard to grow. I did have onion seeds. Let me see. But it's a different type of onion. These are onion, and these are like the bulbin onions, and these are buncheon onions. And so I did fine with that. I did buy quite a few sweet peppers because I want tons of peppers. Let me see. I got 1 hot pepper because I just want to switch up the hot pepper that I'm used to using. I did buy more arugula, and I have arugula here. So I didn't have cosmos or pansies. Now, I don't want a ton of tomatoes, but I did want a different type of tomato. These are Roma tomatoes, and so I did snag those. I do have a few tomato packets here, and these little packets I actually got online from Amazon. I wanted one thing, and I think it was called the shishito pepper, and in order to get that shishito pepper, I think that's why I ended up with all of these. So this is a combination of some things. I'm gonna have to go through these little packets a little later. But there's eggplant in here. I didn't purchase eggplant. I can see there's Swiss chard, sunflowers. There are some type of peppers in there. And so, but I did get more peppers. So I don't have any of these type of peppers, actually. Sorry, here goes my stash of peppers, sweet peppers, because we like a lot of sweet peppers, bell peppers, jalapeno peppers. And so this is my pepper stash. What else did I purchase? I did purchase some alyssum. I don't have any, so I'm glad I purchased the alyssum. I only got 1 pack of the alyssum. These flowers grow beautifully, so that's my flower stash. I'm glad I got my beets because I only have this half of a pack. There's a few in here of beets. And then green beans. If you know anything, I'm going to grow some green beans. I knew I didn't have any green bean packs because every time I buy packs, I use up all the green beans. And so I did good with that. I did buy some summer squash, and this is the Peter Pan squash. I really like this squash. I did have a few seeds, but I'm glad I got another pack of those. I did get lettuce. More beets are here. What else did I purchase? I did purchase carrot seeds, and I have a few carrots right here. But overall, I think I did good. I didn't double purchase too much. There are a couple of things that I have on my list that I do want. And one of those that I don't have here, although I have kale here in the mix, I would like Lakeisha kale, which is known as dinosaur kale as well. That is a type of kale that I want and that I will be purchasing. And so as I continue, I will make a list of the things I want. I did get some coleus seeds. I hear these are very easy to grow. They grow in 30 days or germinate in 30 days. They're a part shade flower. I want to try to grow these. I'll look up and get real details as. And so that's the other thing on my list to do. The same process that I did with the veggie garden by going in and grabbing this paperwork, printing this. For me, I can have my computer, I can use my phone, my iPad or whatever, and walk around the garden. This is just more convenient for me to have this piece of paper, skim through it. Okay, start these seeds. It's just so I just rather print. And so I'm going to do the same thing with the flowers. I want to go and see if there's a particular schedule. The nasturtiums, I did start indoors. The marigolds, I started indoors. Zinnias, I did start those indoors as well. Cosmos, I believe I started those indoors too. So I thought I got some petunias, but I don't see them here. That is another flower that I wanted to start on my own, but I also don't want to overwhelm myself with starting annuals because last year the aphids did me so bad when it came to my brassicas that I didn't even start a new batch, which I try to sometimes like start new batches of seed, what is called like succession sowing. And so I didn't do that last year. That's why I don't have a garden right now, because I kind of opted out of the fall garden situation. And so, yeah, I want to make sure that I focus in, and I know some errors that I made in the garden, some things I just kept too close together. I planted a bed full of brassicas. If you were here, I put all my cabbages, I put everything in one bed, and that just wasn't a good idea. I typically try to spread everything out. So if one, say a cabbage gets infested with those worms, then I just leave it there. But I know I have another cabbage or cabbages throughout the garden. So I'm going to try to space things out again. I just wanted to use this real big bed. It's actually 2 raised beds that are connected side by side. And I just thought it might have been a good idea to just, but trying to keep the netting over and keep the moss out. It just didn't work out. And so I'm going to continue to go through my seeds. I'm going to organize them according to the dates, the things that I'm going to be sowing and planting up in February. I'm going to put these back in. I'm going to go through all of these little packets. They're not open for the most part. And then I will put everything back in here. If I find that this is getting too small for me, I'm thinking about purchasing one of those popular picture frame situations and then using this just to carry around the garden when I'm going to be sowing particular seeds directly in the garden. I can just kind of lift this up and bring it with me. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and put all my seeds and organize them back inside this box. Well, friends, I'm no expert, but I hope I'm no expert, but I've been successful in my garden in growing food for my family in abundance. And so that I am grateful for. But that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you learned something from here during this time. Maybe you can take a few things that I did and apply them to your garden season, your organizing. If you're doing some organizing right now as you prepare for the spring garden, I hope that this might help you as well. It's been helpful for me to use the system that I'm using and to continue to add different things to the system that I'm using to be more successful. And so we have enough seeds to get our garden started. And then I'm going to continue to keep note of different things I want to grow for sure, like that Lakeisha kale. So I can look out for that particular seed pack. I'll have to find it at another store. But there are some things that I want to grow so much more of. For one, herbs, because I dry out my herbs and I make my own seasoning, and I just need to have a lot more. What I have like this much left of my seasoning, so it didn't last me all winter. And I want to be able to produce certain things to last me all winter. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to leave me a comment. And until next time, blessings. Bye.